What's up? Welcome back, y'all, to week 7 show here. Looking forward to what we have in store. This is a pretty interesting slate today, and I'm excited to get right into it. Again, as I usually let you guys know, if you guys have jumped on the show before, please make sure to leave a comment. But when you leave a comment, make sure to let me know how many teams are in your league, if it's a 10, 12 team league, and if it's a PPR or half PPR slate. Let's get right into this. I have the DraftKings Millie Maker or Football Millionaire up on the top here. So we have a game currently going on right now, right? We have the Rams and the Jaguars in London playing right now. So there's a few quarterbacks that are completely out of this slate. We have Patrick Mahomes, we have Jaden Daniels, we have Jalen Hurts back on this slate, we have Dak Prescott, and I'm going to get right into this. Patrick Mahomes he's been so different from previous years. The last 2 years, it feels like he hasn't played up to the level we've seen him before in the past when Tyreek Hill was on that team. Look at the last couple of weeks. We got 31 DK fantasy points. Week 5, 30, week 4, 27. And outside of week 3, he's been going over the 20 fantasy point mark. And that is great. So today, he's one of the more popular quarterbacks on the slate. I would say it's Jaden Daniels, then him, and then Dak Prescott, which all three, although they're chalky, I'm a big fan of today. Patrick Mahomes is playing the Las Vegas Raiders. In the Las Vegas Raiders, if you've been following along the last couple of weeks, just overall with fantasy, right? They just cannot stop the wide receiver position, explosive playmakers. That has not been their forte. So I think, guys, today, especially with Rashee Rice back, so if you have him in your home leagues, draft leagues, Rashee Rice is probably going into your starting spot today. And that's an exciting thing, especially waiting 6 weeks that we've waited to basically start him. I have him in a few leagues and really excited to start having him on my starting roster. Rashee Rice was a big part of the offense last year. We saw that right before he went down with an injury. And over the offseason, we were hearing a lot about how they want to incorporate him even more this year and kind of make him even more the focal point of the offense this year. Xavier Worthy, we've already been hearing a lot of stories about him over the offseason. We've seen him just come back recently from his injury, and he's starting to look the part. I mean, we're about to see Patrick Mahomes with all his weapons. We're talking about Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, all guys who can also who brings a lot of speed as well. I'm really excited to see how this offense looks today, especially versus a Raiders defense that cannot stop that position. As far as the running back position, if you guys have Isaiah Pacheco or any, Kareem Hunt, I'm not leaning in on any of those guys. Yeah, they can probably fall over in the goal line and get a touchdown here and there, but those won't be a priority because this team right here, the Chiefs, have been passing way more than they have been rushing. So I'm excited for that passing offense. Next quarterback we're going to get to, Jaden Daniels. I'm excited to see this game. I'll be at the game today when the Commanders take on the Dallas Cowboys here in Dallas, Texas. We just saw him still drop 23 fantasy points. And if you watch that game versus the Chicago Bears, he looked good, but didn't look to the Jaden Daniels that we're typically used to seeing him. As far as last year goes, as a rookie, when he was putting up bigger fantasy numbers, I expect him to probably reach that level, maybe go over the 30 fantasy point mark today versus a Dallas Cowboys defense. Once again, just like the Raiders defense, can't stop a nosebleed. Dallas Cowboys defense is just been, they've been awful. And I believe Trevon Diggs is also out today, which I don't think really makes a big deal, truthfully, because he gets burned a lot. But he is one of their better corners on that team, so that's still a big deal. He'll be out today. As far as being out, we also have the Commanders with a lot of injuries. So if you guys have Deebo Samuel, make sure you bench him this week. Deebo Samuel is out. He was just ruled out yesterday And then you have Terry McLaurin, who got ruled out earlier this week. So we're expecting a game from a lot of guys in that, wide receiver room. You got Jalen Lane, you have Luke McCaffrey, and then you have Chris Moore. These are all popular names currently right now in the DFS street because they're cheap and people are going to try to figure out who that guy is. Zach Ertz seems like the more secured route to go just in terms of the role that he has within the offense, and they're going to probably look to get him. Again, they're playing one of the worst defenses in the league, so you don't have to worry about matchups in terms of the position you're looking at today. I'm a big fan of Bill Krosky-Merritt. Shocker, I talk about him so much. We've done a prop about him previously earlier in the year. But Bill Krosky-Merritt, this run defense is also very bad. I think that, one of the things that the Commanders does really well is that they run the ball really well. And the Bears were able to kind of stop that a little bit this past week. But overall, this has been one of the number one rushing offenses in the league. So I like the route of going and just leaning on Bill Krosky-Merritt. One of my ideas for today, I think I'm going to be doing one lineup. And since I'll be at the game, I definitely want to have some exposure to the highest scoring game of the slate. Jaden Daniels and Bill Krosky-Merritt seems like the route I'm going to go, where I can just get all the touchdowns from them, especially if he comes in and rushes for one or two, hopefully, right? And then you have Bill Krosky-Merritt, who'll be, which we're hoping the lead back today. And yeah, as far as that goes, as far as the wide receivers go, I'm starting to lean in a little bit more on Jalen Lane. I just think he carries the highest upside out of all the guys that they have back there. So Jalen Lane is the sneakier guy who has the lower bit of ownership. When it comes to that, Chris Moore is the more popular play today. So if you're looking for a bit of a leverage, Chris Moore is not a bad play just given his price point. But if you're looking for a play today in your regular fantasy leagues, your home leagues is what we call it. I would look in Jalen Lane, and I think taking a shot there might be the route. He also had a lot of positive reports coming out over the offseason. All right, next quarterback I want to get to here is Dak Prescott's in that same game environment. I think Dak Prescott's a great option. I won't touch too much on him, but just overall, you got George Pickens, who's been playing excellent football, and then now you get CeeDee Lamb back. CeeDee Lamb's been hyped up leading up to this week already from Brian Schottenheimer. You've been hearing a lot of good things. He's just excited to get this offense rolling again, and bringing CeeDee Lamb is going to be a big deal. So hopefully, especially if Washington can keep up, we're expecting a high scoring game. And that's what the Vegas totals are telling us as well. Going here real quick, I want to just jump and name two more guys in the quarterback position. My quarterback room is going to be very small in terms of the pool that I'm playing today. I'm going to play one lineup, so I'm just going to make my decision off of these five guys. But the other guy I wanted to talk a little bit on is Drake May. Drake May he's been playing so well as far as a fantasy quarterback goes, as well as an NFL quarterback. He's going to be in the MVP talks as of now. He's been playing so well. They're playing Tennessee. Mike Vrabel, if you know the connection here, he was fired from the Tennessee Titans. He comes back. He's going to play a little revenge narrative going up against his former team. I expect Drake May to continue doing what he's doing. Tennessee's defense has been pretty bad. They have not been good in terms of just overall being able to stop quarterbacks or running backs at this point. Even though they have some talented players on the defensive side, they just haven't been able to do enough. Drake May, I really like Drake May. And then shocker, right? Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams this week going up against the Saints, who the Saints as defenses also hasn't played the greatest either. You can right here, this is going to be a quarterback duel is what they're calling it, just because of the Oklahoma narrative when Caleb Williams played there and Spencer Rattler. Caleb Williams came onto that team to beat out Spencer Rattler, and he did just that. So I think there's a little bit of little tension and beef going on with these two quarterbacks. There's a lot of narratives in this one. You have Dennis Allen coming back to the game is in Chicago, but playing versus the former team that fired him. You have Kendre Miller, if you guys remember that storyline last year, which was wild. Kendre Miller, he was benching all the time, had him as a healthy scratch, put him on the IR if I'm not mistaken, due to some fake injury is what they were calling it. So Kendre Miller was not very fond of Dennis Allen. Would not surprise me if Kellen Moore, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, gives him a little bit of rep. I'm in on his rushing attempt props today, which is at 8. I believe he goes up in the double digit, maybe anywhere from 10 to 11. The last couple of weeks, he's been rising in terms of share opportunities. But do not play him. I would not play him in your home leagues. Do not take that risk unless you absolutely need to. This is more of a daily fantasy advice. As far as home league goes, if you guys can continue, I'm starting to see some of the comments here. Make sure to write a comment. How many teams are it? If a 10, 12 team PPR, half PPR, just let me know in terms of the question, just to help me make a decision for you and help you possibly win this week, right? All right, let's go to the running back position. Jonathan Taylor. This has just been the easiest click. I mean, just look at those totals. It's been insane. They're going up against the Chargers team. They are also down a few wide receivers. So if you have Josh Downs, make sure you bench him today. Josh Downs is out. Ashton Dulin is out. You're probably not playing Ashton Dulin. But I say that because I will name a guy that I've named in the past, and you're probably not going to hear it anywhere else, but I'm going to name him. And I think for DFS, he is completely viable. Today's a very chalky day, meaning high ownership plays. They're all pretty good plays today. So people are going to lean in on that. But if you don't want to tackle in on some of these guys in terms of the Washington Commanders team, some of those wide receivers are going to come with a lot of risk. Adonai Mitchell is back, and I think that this is the week he comes and gets his redemption game. So Adonai Mitchell, here's the fun nugget here. It's at Los Angeles again. And if you remember the game where he fumbled that football nearing the goal line, that play happened in SoFi Stadium versus the Rams. So he's back at SoFi, and this has just fit perfectly for the narrative. I have some ladders on Adonai Mitchell today. His current prop, I think, is at 23.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to hit that. He's going to hit the over, and I think he has a redemption story today. But yes, Jonathan Taylor, as far as running back position goes, he's usually a lock. He's in a great position today. But I do like the Adonai Mitchell route. We have Saquon Barkley is another guy that I really like today. Saquon Barkley, Minnesota, the way they play their defense, I think they're going to make things really tough for Jalen Hurts. They're going to play him hard. They're going to blitz him a lot, which is something that Jalen Hurts has not taken really well in. I think we finally, guys, it's been 6 weeks. We haven't gotten anything over 100 yards. Week 2, he had 88 receiving yards. That was it. We need that big Saquon Barkley week. I think this is the week, especially with the way they play their defense. I think that they're going to attack from the running back position. I really love Saquon Barkley today. I plan on playing him. Saquon Barkley is definitely a name I want to throw out there. I've already talked about Bill Krosky-Merritt, but I got one more name for y'all. Quinshon Judkins. And if you guys do play props, and I got to keep mentioning that because Vegas has a way of giving you projections and giving you some ideas on how much they expect this player to do today. His prop line, I think earlier this week, I saw it was like at 92.5. Last I checked, it was like at 94.5 yards, which tells you everything you need to know. I think Quinshon Judkins versus this Miami team that we've seen so many other players already attack this team. I expect Quinshon Judkins to have a really strong outing. 6,000 is a higher price point, but he is RB1 on that team. No one's competing with him as far as those rushing opportunity goes. I expect Quinshon Judkins to have that game. Stefanski is really known for how much he leans in on the run. And with the rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, you expect more heavy rush versus pass. I do like some of the pass catchers, and I'll mention him shortly as far as this matchup goes. I just think the Miami defense has been bad. And obviously that's what we do. We like to attack bad defenses when we're playing fantasy to get the highest amount of points. I have yet to see the news yet on Hassan Haskins. Last I checked was that he was questionable, but there is a chance that if he is out, I think Kamani Vidal becomes a really strong play today. Without Hassan Haskins, we don't have to worry about anybody else in that backfield. And again, I'm saying that now, and then next thing you know, maybe Nyheim Hines got called up and starts getting some runs. But after what we saw from last week, it was very positive. 25 fantasy points, 18 rushing attempts, but one of the bigger parts here was the receiving work he got. He was one of the big, he ran a lot of routes and was given an opportunity as far as a pass catcher goes. They're a little bit more healthy today, the Chargers are, and I'll mention a receiver right now. Actually, let's transition to the wide receiver position. The wide receiver position, we have Justin Jefferson versus the Philadelphia Eagles. That's always a strong play. 7,600 tells you everything you need to know. CeeDee Lamb is back. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think that if you're going into the later slate of the game, today's slate, apologies, if you're going later and you see yourself playing from behind and you have CeeDee Lamb's going to be one of the higher ownership guys today. It's a perfect time to pivot at George Pickens, who has a little bit of a lower ownership and makes you get that leverage you need so you can at least cash. But CeeDee Lamb seems like just one of those plays that I plan to get on today. I love Xavier Worthy. We just talked about Patrick Mahomes. Rome Odunze is in a great spot too. I mentioned Caleb Williams. Rome Odunze, if you saw last week, had a touchdown erased. That alone should have given you back to these numbers that we were seeing here. I think versus a New Orleans Saints team that has not been doing really well versus playmakers such as Rome Odunze. I expect that to change today. Chargers offense, we were talking about that. Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston is back. Both very viable plays, both $100 short of each other. If you're looking for a nice matchup here, the Indianapolis Colts have so many players out this week. They lost two of their starting corners, and I believe they got a safety out as well. That secondary is so depleted. You expect, especially with the way the run game has been going. You know, I mentioned Kamani Vidal, but they don't have Omarion Hampton anymore. I think this is just a good place to attack. You can go with Quentin Johnston. You can go with Ladd McConkey. You can go with Keenan Allen, just depending on where you are at in terms of remaining salaries on your team. All right, let's get right into it. We have mentioned Rashid Rice, who's 5,600. Stephon Diggs just got active. And I'm going to name one more guy. Chris Olave is one of the more popular plays today. I really like Rashid Shaheed. You're hearing that from me. I am taking a prop on him today. I think he goes over 100 yards. I think that Shaheed, obviously big play guy. You saw that week 5, 4 catches for 114 yards. And obviously that touchdown plays a big part. But Rashid Shaheed, when you're looking at a team like the Bears that I watch week in and week out, just like I do with other teams, but I have a little bit of a bias because I am a fan of the team. I'm telling you guys, anybody who's lined up with Nahshon Wright on the opposite side, Chris Olave is probably going to be with Tyreek Stevenson, who has played better since starting this season. And then you have Kyler Gordon back, who's going to man a lot of the nickel spot. But Nahshon Wright has been horrid. Everybody who's attacked the Bears, keep attacking the same side. If you look at just spray charts alone from quarterbacks, like I looked at Jaden Daniels this past week, everything was to the left side, which was exactly where Nahshon Wright was positioned. I expect the same thing to happen today. Kellen Moore is a very smart offensive-minded head coach. I expect him to attack Nahshon Wright, and this is where I think Rashid Shaheed snaps and has a monster game. Not saying Chris Olave can't have it. Chris Olave is still a really good play, but if I have to pick between the two, which I will have to, just given how many good options are there today, Rashid Shaheed is one of my favorite players to roster today. And if you have him in your home leagues, that's a guy I would be getting on shortly. All right, tight end position. I'm going to end here and then get right into the comments. I see a lot of comments coming in, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you guys for hopping on. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Tight end position, Trey McBride, 5,700. Enough said. Jacoby Brissett is back at quarterback. Kyler Murray is out. When Jacoby Brissett is in, if you saw last week, it's just better for the passing game. I think a big part of the story today is that Marvin Harrison is back. I think he could be very sneaky as well. But I do like Trey McBride from the tight end position. Given the wide receiver stuff that we just talked about, I think Tyler Warren is absolutely viable as well. I think that today, if you're going a little bit lower, Harold Fannin Jr. is a great play. David Njoku is out. Harold Fannin Jr., if you have him in your home leagues, he's also a great play today to roster and start. I will be starting him on some of my teams. I know there's weather conditions. I think that they were talking about, if I'm not mistaken, from this Miami in Cleveland game. I know the Chicago and Saints game also has some weather stuff. But again, this is someone that rookie quarterbacks tend to lean on the most, and it's the tight end position and a guy who kind of runs around and does a lot of different routes. Harold Fannin Jr. is a big play for me. Michael Mayer, you got another good week of him. You saw 16 fantasy points, touchdown really helps, but 7 targets, very, very involved. We just got news that Jacoby Myers is inactive. So that's another opportunity for Michael Mayer to kind of be the focal point of the offense today as far as the passing offense goes. Michael Mayer should be a guy you should be leaning on today as well as starting. There's a lot of good tight ends to be picking up and streaming this week, especially if you are a fan or not necessarily a fan, but if you roster any Dalton Kincaid or maybe Mark Andrews, which you're probably not starting most of those guys on a week-to-week basis, but Michael Mayer is someone you should be starting today. I think he's a great, great play. I'm going to name you one more guy here that I think is someone you should absolutely consider. I know that the offense is bad. Don't watch this game. You're probably not going to want to watch this game. If you have red zone, hope and wait to see if Mason Taylor pops up in the red zone opportunity. This game is probably not going to be the best. I actually have Carolina winning this game. Shocker, right? But versus this Jets team, that's just been awful. They could have a bounce back at any point, but I doubt it without Garrett Wilson being available today. Justin Fields is going to have to pass the football. Yes, Justin Fields is going to be a player I might start in some of the leagues because I still think that the upside is still there in terms of fantasy production. He can still run. He can still score touchdowns with his legs, but they're going to have to pass the ball. And even if they pass 10 times, who are they going to throw the football to? More than likely, Mason Taylor is going to be their guy. If you look at the targets from the previous weeks, you could just easily tell that he is a focal point of this offense. When Garrett Wilson's not there, I expect him to be that part of the offense that they're going to need this week. I'm not leaning in on guys like Josh Reynolds or Alan Lazard. And I think for 3,400, when you need a player at the tight end position, I think he's perfectly fine. I'm going to name you one defense and I'm going to give it to you easy. And then I'm going to get right into your questions. Appreciate you guys for sticking it there. The one defense that I want to play, I think it's a pay up spot this week. And I think it's just a Patriots defense. I gave you the story. Vrabel's back. Revenge narrative. Tennessee, yes, they got a new a new head coach this week because they fired Brian Callahan, but I expect Vrabel to come in there. It's at Tennessee where they fired him. That was a very bad breakup. There was a lot of issues lying in there. I expect them to come in there and come in there strong. I like this Patriots defense. They're going to probably be one of the chalkier defenses. Chalky defenses aren't always bad. Sometimes I do like to find a different play, but with the way this week is, I think that's going to be a little harder sometimes for people to just pay up for certain defenses, and they're going to still try to find ways to pay down so that they can get better salary players at other positions. All right, y'all. That is the daily fantasy side of things. Let's get right into your comments. Appreciate you guys for hopping on. All right, John, thank you for hopping on the show. Appreciate you. All right, we have Quentin Johnston or Bill, full PPR. I'm just going to go Bill Krosky-Merritt. He's just got a phenomenal matchup. And with the wide receivers being down for the Washington Commanders, I like Bill in this spot, and I think that he should be really, really strong play. So, yes, Bill Krosky-Merritt is that guy. Let's see who we got. We have JP, should I trade Scat and AJ Brown for Cook in PPR? I have Wilson, AJ Brown, Lava Pickens at Terry. So want to consolidate, but feels like I'm giving up a lot. Man, I would hold. I would keep Scatterboo and AJ Brown. Scatterboo's been a big part. Today, they're going to lean heavy on him today. I don't expect them to have a strong week, but I expect them to still lean very heavily, and that's more to do with the matchup. I like Scatterboo a lot, and AJ Brown's situation has been tough, man. But it's so hard to get rid of AJ Brown just like that. And then Cook, as great of a player as he is, I just think that the value of those two guys are still strong. I would hold. I wouldn't trade, and that's my opinion. But yeah, good luck with that. All right, Jesse, start to bench 1, Pittman, Trey Tucker, and Woody Marks. Well, we're starting Pittman given the situation over there in Indianapolis, having 2 guys out, and Trey Tucker. That would see those are the 2 guys. Bench Woody Marks until we see furthermore. But Trey Tucker's in a great spot. no Jacoby Myers. He's going to probably be the number one option today. We'll probably see a lot of Jack Betch, the rookie that they got too over there. But yes, thank you for hopping on the show. All right, Nate. See, you had 2 questions. K-Dot and Travis Kelce. Man, this is a fun one. I'm going to go K-Dot in here. That's tough because the Chiefs, sorry, I stumbled there. The Chiefs are fully healthy now, and I expect them to go with the big play guys. I think that a lot of what Travis Kelce does good, Rashee Rice comes in there and starts picking up a lot of those short route stuff. Yeah, give me K to Otten, especially given their circumstances. Maybe Emeka Buka is not available for tomorrow, and we're going to see we're going to end up seeing probably Mike Evans is what we're expecting. So yeah, give me K to Otten. I think K to Otten is the better player there for this week's matchup. John's got another question. Chris Moore, Kendrick Bourne, man. Mac Jones is starting. I know the matchup doesn't seem great, but with their rapport and how well Kendrick Bourne has been playing, it's really hard to fade him. I know we get Jawan Jennings back, but no Ricky Pearsall. We get George Kittle's back, but I think that all helps Kendrick Bourne get less looks as far as defensive coverages. And Mac Jones, once again, is starting, and they're boys. He also said that in his presser this week, which I found very funny. All right, Caden, appreciate you hopping on the show. Do I start Judkins, Kamara, or Vidal in PPR? If you got to pick any of those 3 guys, I'm going to go with Judkins. I just think Judkins is such a phenomenal play this week. Playing that Miami defense, I think Judkins to the moon. I think he's going to go really, really well. Let's see here. I think that's it. Judkins and Vidal for, in my opinion. Okay, so John's just agreeing. Yeah. If you got to start one, yeah, I would say Judkins for sure. For sure. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. I really, really appreciate you guys hopping on. Next week, I may have a little bit of a different time. I have something going on next Sunday, so I might have to switch out the time, but I will post about it. And on my next waiver wire show, I'll make that announcement as far as what time I'll be hopping on. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't, and please feel free to share some of these videos. And like I've said before, it's a community I'm growing, and I love any advice and any conversations are welcome. Make sure to feel free to hit me up. You have my links there where you can message me and ask any questions leading up to lock. Good luck this week, y'all. I hope you guys all do well. Take care. Peace.